Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. My name is Becky and this is Bria Makes Art, and today I'm going to be working on the sketchbook cover for my 6th sketchbook. And while I work on that, I wanted to talk about intentional practice and how it becomes a key ingredient to unlocking and refining your artistic style. Let me first explain what I mean by intentional practice. There are different types of practice. There's casual or random practice, which would be things like doodling or drawing without any real goal in mind and then just putting it away. And then there's intentional practice. With intentional practice, you start your art session with a goal in mind. It could be anything from practicing line control to composition to a very particular brush technique. The key difference is that goal setting or intention setting at the beginning. Intentional practice allows you to not just draw or paint, but to intentionally explore different techniques, experiment with various elements, and really understand what resonates with you. It's about setting specific goals that align with your vision, focusing your efforts on those goals, and helping you define your artistic style through this experimentation and reflection. The old adage, practice makes perfect, is not entirely true. Let's take my younger self, for example. When I was in high school, I drew almost every day because I was taking an art class and had lots of assignments to complete. My skill improved as I gained fine motor control and I developed my artistic eye during that time, but I didn't grow nearly as fast then as I have in the past few years. The difference is not age or the internet, but it is the way that I approach what I am drawing and how I'm doing it. In high school, I was filling sketchbook with the assignments I was given. Lots of drawing from life, but I did not reflect on what I was drawing or how I could have made it better. I did not sit down with an idea of what I wanted to convey with the work that I was working on. I just drew what the assignment was and went about my day. I also did not look at a lot of other artists' work to see cool techniques that they used. The internet wasn't a thing when I was in high school, so I didn't have a ton of art at my fingertips like we do today. We also did not spend a lot of time in art class learning about other artists, though there was some time dedicated to that. The practice I had in high school I would qualify as more of an idle or random practice. It was practice and it did lead to improvement, but I didn't have any specific goals in mind, nor was I paying attention to any particular things that I wanted to improve. So the improvement I saw was simply gaining more fine motor control and whatever details I happened to notice that needed my attention. In the past couple of years, I have been working very hard on improving particular skills in my art practice. I want to get better at drawing from imagination, at the human form, face, hands, feet, etc., and painting. I learned about composition and construction of the form, and when I work on my sketchbook, it is usually with a very particular purpose in mind. I have an intention when I am drawing things. I work a lot from images online and am taking my time to compare what I have drawn to the thing that I'm trying to draw and noting where I tend to have issues for future drawings. I've also been taking a lot of time and looking at a lot of other artists' work and spending time recreating things they have drawn when I like their style to find out what about their style I like and what pieces I may want to incorporate into my own style. In this way, my style is rapidly evolving and becomes something I had never imagined. My work is becoming a little simpler, a little more stylized, but in a way that I feel in control of, in a way that speaks to me. Without that intentional practice, I would not be improving so rapidly. I would indeed likely be getting better, but my style would not be evolving so quickly and my improvement would likely be much slower. So now that I've talked about why to practice intentionally, Let me take a little bit of time to explain how to do so. The first step is to determine what your goal or goals are for your drawing or painting session. Is there some particular skill you want to work on? Is there a new technique you want to try? Are you wanting to capture an emotion? Or are you after accuracy, simplicity, working on color theory? The list goes on. Pick one or two things that you want to focus on when you sit down to work, and pick a subject that will help you with that thing. Be sure when you're picking subjects that you vary the difficulty. Easy ones are good to give you a sense of accomplishment, but if you pick only easy subjects, you're not challenging yourself enough to see really good growth. On the other hand, if you choose all difficult subjects, then you're going to discourage yourself, and, well, you don't want that. Keep a variety and feel free to switch between them to keep yourself engaged and having fun, because if it's not fun, then what are you doing? When you're done with your practice, be sure to look over what you've done and see where you're happy and where you think you need work. If it helps, keep a journal with your thoughts. I often write notes in my sketchbook next to the practice when it goes off the rails. If you have friends or family members that you trust to give you kind, constructive feedback, show them what you are working on and share what your intention was. Listen to what they have to say and take the bits that are resonating with you, and feel free to ignore the bits that you don't agree with. Remember, there is no right answer in art. You want your work to reflect you, not your critics. Of course, it is also important to allow yourself to just draw or paint whatever makes you happy. Feel free to have days where you're drawing just to draw and don't have any other motive in mind. If you fill your days with making art that you're overly critical of, that could be really demotivating. Nobody wants to create and have it picked apart every single time, even if it's you that's doing the picking. I think it's also important to give your practice and final pieces a bit of breathing room before you pick them apart. We all know that we are our own worst critics. We are so close to the piece and have a vision in mind of what we want it to be. And when it doesn't meet that vision, we often get mad and may even hate it. But if you give yourself a little breathing room, walk away, when you come back, those mistakes often fade into the background and you can have a whole new appreciation of what you have created. It's a balancing act to make sure you aren't being overly critical on yourself, but are looking at the areas that you want to improve. Be kind to yourself. If you practice something and continue to find lots of fault with it, know that it is okay to give yourself a break. Remember, learning a new skill takes time, and everyone is going to have a different journey in getting to the level they want. Also remember that failure is okay. Failure is an opportunity to learn. You only fail if you give up. I've been incorporating a lot of intentional practice in my art journey over the last few years, and I have seen my skills grow so much more than I ever imagined. I still have a ways to go before I am where I really want to be, but I have been so impressed with myself, I can hardly believe it. Drawing has become so much easier for me and much more fun because I can make the thing I am trying to make so much more fluidly. I'm also starting to be able to draw from imagination much more easily. Of course, my drawings from imagination still pale in comparison to those drawn from reference, but what I can do from imagination is so much better than anything I could have done even 3 years ago. Here's a little secret. Some of my intentional practice is watching YouTube. I can't count every art video I watch as an intentional practice, But there are definitely times when I'm watching art YouTube where I'm paying attention to how the artist is achieving the results they are, what techniques they're using, how they hold their pencil or brush, how they break down the form, etc. I'm internalizing their techniques, and I've learned a lot from watching other artists at work. Obviously, there are many times when I watch art YouTube where I'm turning my brain off and just enjoying the pretty pictures appear in front of me, or, like anyone else, enjoying a good tape peel. So satisfying. Anyway, I hope that this was informative, and hopefully you can start to incorporate some intentional practice yourself. It's good for more than just art, too. Let's take a few minutes to talk about the sketchbook cover I'm working on. This is an ELO sketchbook, my current favorite, and I'm using a Uniball Signo white gel pen. I really like how easily it glides on this surface. Originally, I intended to use a white paint pen, but when I was practicing with it on some black paper, it was coming out rather watery, and I think the line was a little thicker than I wanted it to be. I did a few different flowery designs on a scrap of black paper to come up with this design in the end. I knew I wanted a flowery border on two corners, and then I found this cool flowery font online that I'm recreating on the cover that I thought went beautifully with the flower border. Originally, I wanted there to be lots of planty bits coming off the border, but when I tried drawing that out, it either looked really messy or not full enough to feel right using the gel pen. So I went with a simpler design that still gives the same feel. Of course, as usual, I put the sketchbook information on the side so that when I put it on my bookshelf, I can easily see which one it is. In the end, I ended up spraying it with a fixative in order to keep the gel pen from wiping off easily. When I tried the pen on the back, I didn't see how easily it would wipe off until after I had finished decorating it. Turns out it wipes off super easily, so I knew I needed to protect it. I didn't want this sketchbook cover to end up like my previous one where I had to keep touching it up every few weeks. In the end, it looks really nice. It's a little bit more glossy than I had intended, but I'm really happy that it's protected and it's not going to wipe away. I hope you guys enjoyed watching me decorate my 6th sketchbook cover. I'm really happy with how this turned out. I like how bold the white is against the black. This Uniball Signo gel pen works beautifully. If you're in the market for a gel pen, a white gel pen, I would recommend this one over the jelly rolls. I have some jelly rolls as well, and they work okay, but they tend to kind of skip and clog up more than this one did, and it worked beautifully, and you can see how nice and bold white that is. I also decorated the spine. It just says sketchbook number 6, and then I put some of that flowery design on there as well. I didn't show that because it wasn't terribly interesting, but you can also see how shiny this ended up being. The varnish that I used said that it was a matte varnish, but it ended up shiny on here. I was kind of hoping for something a little bit more matte, but it is what it is, and it is protected now, and I can rub on this all that I want, and the ink isn't going to come off, so I'm happy about that, so I don't have to worry about that anymore. Anyway, I hope that you also enjoyed my thoughts on intentional practice, and if you guys have any feedback or any tips or tricks that you guys use to help you improve or develop your art style or anything like that, please leave them in the comments below. And I hope you guys had a great time, and I will see you in 2 weeks. Bye!